Right now are the men behind it. Home Depot co-founder and founder of Invamed Associates and Chairman Ken Langone is here, along with the former Chairman and CEO of Honeywell, Larry Bossidy. Gentlemen, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. And let me just say right off the bat, thank you for your leadership in this area. Larry, I know this is very personal to you. Radical Hope was founded after the tragic suicide of your grandson, who was a junior at Gonzaga University. Tell us about the program and what inspired you.
Well, by virtue of that suicidal event in our life, their parents, Pam and Phil Martin, established Radical Hope with the idea of making the transition into college one that's comfortable. There are so many people with mental distress, it seems to me, this day. Suicides are up 56% in the last 10 years for the 18 to 24-year-old group. So we have a comprehensive program put together with NYU and outside experts where there's a 4-week program free of charge to schools where we talk about mental health, we talk about resilience, self-confidence, asking for help, and connecting with other people in a way that can help. But we're going to try to touch 1 million young people. But if we save one life, it'll have all been worth it. And we're excited in our progress, but a long way to go.
You are absolutely right. And let me just talk about what you've done already, Ken Langone. You're the chairman of NYU Langone Medical. And why was this area so important to you? I know that over the years we have mapped the entire genome. And as a result of mapping the genome, we figured out, that smoking causes cancer and things like, bad eating could lead to heart disease. We never did the same kind of study on the mind. And I want to get your take on mental disease, not just young people. I'm talking about autism, Alzheimer's. What can be done here and what really could move the needle, Ken?
Well, first of all, Maria, let's make it clear that this is an effort of the university, which I am heartily in support of, and the medical center is heartily in support of. The university developed this program over a period of years after a series of suicides at NYU. And the most important thing I think we can do about this issue is bring it out in bright light. This is not something that we should be sensitive to or ashamed of or embarrassed by. This disease is indiscriminate. It's also contagious. We know for a fact that kids are encouraged to suicide by other kids or by other kids' behavior. I got interested in this because of Larry and his Nancy and their family. They're a wonderful family, and they had this tragedy, and they decided they were going to make sure that the world gained by what they lost. And when Larry came to me, I said, Larry, I'm in, and my job and Larry's job is going to make sure that we get as many enrollments at the college level. We think every college in America ought to have a focus on this issue, because all you have to do is have, God forbid, one kid take his life, and it's all over. And the price, as Larry said, if we save just one kid's life, we've done it all. So I'm very enthusiastic about the program. I think we're going to have measurables here. For example, Larry and I have both said if we don't see significant traction for this program within 5 years, then the world has said it's not that interesting, which would be sad. We're not going to give up. But on the other hand, we're not going to try and do things where there's no willing takers.
I am so proud of NYU. Ken, you and I are on the board of NYU. To see them go out on this limb to ensure that we start serious study behind what's going on is really a proud moment for NYU. Larry, let me get your take on the drug element here, because we talk a lot about fentanyl-laced drugs. How much of an issue is that to all of this, and what can be done to stop it?
Well, first of all, I think it's a part of it. I think some of these kids get depressed, and as a consequence, some go to drugs, and makes matters worse. So if we can get these young people just to admit they have a problem, then I think we have a program, others have a program where we can help them. And that's our mission, to try to provide some self-resilience and to empower themselves to ask for help. And by virtue of doing that, I think we can get the kind of completion of the program that we're in search of. So we can't do much about the drug situation now, but we can instill self-confidence in these people that there's help around the corner, and we'd like to be a part of that help.
You know, you both have been so incredibly successful in business, but how wonderful it is that your legacy will also be really moving the needle for people and for health care. Thank you to you both for that. I want to switch gears, ask you a little about business. President Biden yesterday ending weeks of speculation, nominating Jay Powell for a second term as the chairman of the Federal Reserve. The president also nominated Governor Lyle Brainard as the vice chairman. Your thoughts on this? Ken, obviously taking the uncertainty out was a positive. What's your take?
Maria, my thought is very simple on this. To pass this reconciliation bill is totally irresponsible. We are confronting very, very serious inflation in America. And we all know the person that's punished most by inflation is a little guy. It's a regressive tax. Inflation is the most regressive of all taxes. And I think for these people to be talking about flooding the market now with more dollars, because that's what this will be, is only going to exacerbate an already serious, serious problem. I'm praying to God that there's more people like Joe Manchin and the senator from Arizona, because I'll tell you what, we need to show statesmanship now, and we need to show leadership in a way that we don't get to where some of these, I'm sure you saw what happened in Turkey this morning. We do not have the luxury of having rampant inflation in America. And I think this bill is going to really put gas on the fire.
And you make a great point, Ken, in terms of Joe Manchin. Will he hold the line? I love what you said the other day, saying you're going to support him, do fundraisers for him, because you're impressed that he actually held the line, Ken.
I sure am, and I congratulate him, and I have enormous respect for this man. He's getting a lot of pressure and a lot of heat, but in my opinion, he's showing action which manifests the need for the country as a nation, and he's doing it.
Larry, how is it possible that President Biden could say repeatedly that this spending plan, which, by the way, Maya McGinnis was on this show yesterday, she said it's going to cost $4.9 trillion. Forget about this $1.75 trillion number that they're throwing her out. It's $4.9 trillion of the cost. How is it possible that he continues to say that it's not going to increase inflation and that it costs nothing? Your take on what Ken's talking about in terms of more dollars thrown at the economy.
You know, Maria, I think that it's irresponsible. That, you know, we used to have people running these tax committees, Rostenkowski, for example, who took this seriously. And when they imposed a tax increase or considered one, they thought it through in terms of its ramifications. The current people, they just throw one out every day. They don't think through what its impact might be. And as a consequence, we're nowhere. We don't need another $5 trillion program in this country, particularly in light of the inflation that we've seen in the last couple of months. So I hope it goes away. I know that's a dream, but we sure as hell don't need it. And I think it's, at this point, it's irresponsible.
And Larry, you've dealt with supply crises before, having run Honeywell for so long. What's your take on what's going on with the supply shortages and its impact on the economy there?
Well, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think the backup in terms of the supply side will serve to make 2022 a little bit better as that crunch eases, if you will. But I think we're going to have a decent year in 2022. The supply side situation will ease, and the economy, I think, will be advantaged as a consequence of that. Back to Radical Hope for a minute. We're raising funds in terms of providing this free to colleges. So if you want to help us, please go to radicalhopefoundation.org, and we most appreciate whatever you can do for us.
Maria, I reiterate what Larry says.
Radicalhopefoundation.org. Go ahead, Ken.
We can use the support. We're going to make sure we give this thing every opportunity to succeed. But again, I'll say what Larry said. If we save one kid, it's all worth the effort.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's great that you both are at the forefront of this. Ken, the last time we spoke politics, you said you wanted term limits. You still pushing for term limits? Because some of these people in Congress get in there, and then I think they forget who they're working for.
Maria, I'm pushing, but I'm not being very successful at it. I can tell you right now, if you had term limits and all these people had to go back after their 6 or 12 years, whatever the terms would be, and live with their laws, trust me, they might have a different point of view.
I agree with you. Ken Langone, Larry Bossidy, always a pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks very much for being with me this morning.